Not long ago I bought my second Phoibos Voyager 3 and I reviewed it. An absolutely brilliant watch, which I regretted selling the first time. But as I have a policy of one out and one in, and I wanted to buy this one, I'm afraid it had to go. And welcome to my unpaid and unsponsored review of the Phoibos Delphinus. For those of you wondering, Delphinus is a star constellation and it means dolphin in Latin. I don't know why, but I find that word quite inspiring. Now, I've lost count of how many Phoibos watches I've owned over the years, but they all have something in common, and that's that they're well made, well spec'd, and generally offer very good value for money. The other Phoibos watch in my collection is the Narwhal 38, which when I reviewed it I said, this is Phoibos' best ever watch. So can this one better it? Well, this is the newer packaging, which I happen to think is better than the old. But at the end of the day, we don't wear the packaging. It's a single travel case that has also got room for a few accessories and includes the instructions and a 2-year warranty. When buying a watch, it's a bit like buying a pair of shoes. You want to know what size it is. I wish eBay sellers realised this, but so many don't, you know. Well, the case is 39mm, which I believe is a size that suits most wrists. The lug width is 20mm. The depth is about 12mm, which includes a double dome sapphire crystal with AR coating. And the lug to lug is 46.5mm. Now, once adjusted to fit my 17cm wrist, it weighs in at 134 grams. In my humble opinion, it about wears the size. So what will one of these cost you? Well, Phoibos are little tinkers, you know, because the advertised price is very rarely the price anybody actually pays. It just depends on their discount presently being offered. The full price is $495, €465 or £385, although at the moment most colour options are sold out as of December 2024. Now, they plan to restock within the next few weeks though, and you can get a pre-order price with a discount of 20%. That's a great discount, but if you live in the UK as I do, you have to pay 20% duty, which only takes you back to where you started. I'll leave it up to you whether you consider this is good value for money, but I am to believe it's pretty good, especially at the discounted price. For what it's worth, I bought this virtually unused one on eBay for a fair bit less than that. And this is my watch of the day, another diver. It's the very rare Canopy Wake 1. The watch comes with or without a date window. Needless to say, this one doesn't have one. I don't tend to care because I never actually set the date anyway. It's just about aesthetics to me. Now, Phoibos have at least put the 9039 undated version of the Myota 9000 movement in the undated watch and the 9015 movement in the dated version. To be honest, this wouldn't have bothered me, but I know some people would have been driven mad by it. It's a 4Hz movement that ticks away at 28,800 beats per hour. It hacks hand winds, has a power reserve of about 41 hours, is pretty accurate when regulated correctly, and is very reliable. Some people moan about a noisy unidirectional rotor, but it's not something I've ever noticed when it's on the wrist. So let's have a look at it on the time grapher. Now, when this arrived, it was running within manufacturer's specifications. However, it was running about plus 20 seconds a day. A little bit fast for me. So I had to back off and regulated it, and it's running perfectly. A good beat error, a great amplitude, and look at that rate. The 6mm crown screws down to aid its claimed 200 metres of water resistance. It's signed, very nicely knurled, operates the movement without issue, and whilst engagement when being screwed down isn't buttery smooth, it's actually very good. Now, this case finishing is probably a level above anything I've ever seen on a Phoibos. You see, Phoibos are famed for their tall divers, whilst this is more of a dressy diver. Now, the tops of the lugs are vertically brushed. Then we have some nice transitional polishing, leading down to some vertically brushed sides. I don't normally like vertical brushing on the sides, but this is done so well I'm okay with it. Finally, there is a polished underside, All in all, this case is gorgeous. It's very nicely shaped and it fits well to the back of the wrist. I just love Phoibos casebacks, and for two reasons. Firstly, I'm a fan of the octopus logo, although I know that's a bit Marmite and some people don't. Secondly, it's embossed. I think all dive watches should be like that. There's some basic information engraved around the sides, and as you can see, it screws down. The watch comes with 3 different coloured dials, an Amazonite dial, and this aventurine version. In fact, this is the first aventurine dial I've ever had on a watch. It's dark blue, but in certain lights it looks black. It's one of those dials that can look a little bit blingy one minute, and then quite mundane the next. It has what looks like an alloy readout, then below that a painted minute track. The applied indices are quite large and filled with 15 layers of BGW9 lume, as are the sword hands, but we'll get to the lume in a minute. One little touch I particularly like is the red tip to the second hand. Now below the 12 o'clock is the octopus logo, then at the bottom it simply reads automatic with the water resistance below that. So back to the lume. Well, like all Phoibos watches, it's fantastic. Not only is it bright, it lasts easily throughout the night. So let's have a look at that lume. The gloss black ceramic bezel is also lumed, however it will give up before the dial, that's pretty much the norm. I can't make up my mind if it's slightly out of alignment to the left, see what you think. But if it is, it really is fractional. However, it's got no backplay or bounce. The bezel action is okay, I would have preferred it just to be a little bit tighter, but bezel actions are quite subjective. In fact, Shane over at A Relative Time thinks it's spot on, whilst Garrett, I like watches, well, he agrees with me. Have a little listen. Well, it's only the bracelet and the clasp left to talk about. Now, as you can see, it's a 7-link beads of rice, which I happen to love. What's more, it's a good one and it's very comfortable. Now it tapers down from 20mm to 17mm, then back up to 18mm for the clasp. Adjustment is made using well engineered screw pins, and if you fancy putting on a strap, well, it's got quick release spring bars. It's also got solid end links and they fit perfectly to the case. Now because it's a bit of a dressy diver, it could look good on a strap. So here's a bit of a fashion show. This is the first Phoibos I've ever had with an on-the-fly adjustable clasp. And this one's identical to the one I've got on my 2 San Martin watches, which by the way are excellent. It's nicely brushed and it's signed, and in my opinion, it's a great size and balance for the watch. So what do I think of the Delphinus? Well, I'll start by telling you it's certainly one of their best watches to date, well in my opinion anyway. Okay, the bezel action isn't the best I've experienced, and it was running a tad fast when I got it. But apart from that, it's pretty faultless. It's got a very good movement, a wonderful dial, a fantastic bracelet and clasp, and it's a diver that could be worn formally or informally. Will I end up keeping it? Well, I think so, but I've said that before. That brings me to the end of this review. So if you've managed to stay awake, click on the like button. Subscribe if you haven't already, leave your comments below, and enjoy the rest of your day.